back on Get Up. If it's Thursday, it means the Bussin' Boys are here, and it is time for Straight Out of Compton. Will's got takes. Taylor's got reactions. Will, what's your first take as we begin Week 8?
First take is the AFC North is going to be chaos after this weekend. I got the Ravens beating the Bears. I got the Bengals beating the Jets. And the Packers are going to beat the leader in the division, the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Okay.
So the AFC North is going to be chaos.
I'm starting to feel like I'm back at Bussin' headquarters and Will Compton's putting together a parlay for me and looking at me going, no way, this doesn't hit right now. Yes, if all of those things happen, then that division will be in shambles. I think the Bengals, when they play the Jets, they need to wear all black at that stadium because it's a funeral for the Jets.
Oh, God.
When it comes to the Ravens, I have a very difficult time seeing them win that game, especially if Lamar Jackson doesn't play. The Bears defense is playing very well. They're the most takeaways in the NFL, and that run game has stepped up to a whole new level. And then finally, the Packers versus the Steelers. I love a great storyline. I got Aaron Rodgers, so I do not see this happening, Will Compton.
We'll see. I mean, if those teams keep winning.
Circle back. Next week.
There was no more significant, Dan Graziano said earlier this week, there was no more significant result in the league this season than Cincinnati beating Pittsburgh last Thursday night. It kept the division, to your point, within reach for everybody. Maybe this weekend it starts to flip. Okay, that's take number one. What's take number two, Will Compton?
People need to start considering Christian McCaffrey, CMC, at the top of the MVP conversation. Last week, he had 120-plus yards on the ground, over 70 reception yards, 62% of his team's yards from scrimmage.
Yeah.
No other player has done that this season, and right now he leads the league in attempts, yards from scrimmage.
What else?
And right now he's on pace to break his own receptions record with 128 is what the pace is currently.
All of those stats sound fantastic. When I think about the MVP, I think of what player is doing more for their team than anybody else in the NFL. Christian McCaffrey with all of those stats. I can agree with that. We need to put him in the conversation. Kyle Shanahan also needs to be in the Coach of the Year conversation.
I agree. He's doing his best coaching job right now, what he's doing with Mac Jones. I thought Saquon should have been the MVP last year. We've just turned it into a quarterback award the way we did with the Heisman. It doesn't sit well with me. I think McCaffrey should be in the conversation. I think Jonathan Taylor should be on the conversation, what he's doing in Indiana. All right, the last one. Give me one more take, Compton.
Cowboys are spicy right now. They got CeeDee Lamb and Pickens, both healthy, both operating, but I think they go out to Denver this weekend, and I think Denver whoops them.
Whoops them.
Whoops them.
What do you say, Lewan?
That is spicy. I watched the Denver Broncos tape versus the Giants, and the Denver Broncos defense didn't look as good or as highly touted as people say they are. I personally have the Dallas Cowboys taking a next step. I mean, obviously their offense has been incredible. If their defense can't be elite or dominant, but let's just go for the title average. If I can look Dan Orlovsky in the eyes and he gives me a one-liner and go, Cowboys, average defense.
Right.
If he can say that in a couple weeks, I think the Cowboys are contenders.
For sure. And one of the big reasons why, or two of the big reasons why, is the dynamic duo that they have at wide receiver. You want to make an argument the Cowboys have the best receivers in the NFL? You certainly could do it. They took the risk trading for George Pickens, and boy, has it worked out. Pickens is sixth in the league in receiving yards per game. CeeDee Lamb, despite the injuries, is right behind him at 7. So if you think Pickens is going to be overlooked with Lamb back, last week Pickens still had 80 receiving yards. Lamb had over 100. That offense was absolutely cruising last week, albeit against a struggling Commanders defense. Hawk, this topic came up with us on Sunday Countdown. I'll ask it to you. George Pickens and CeeDee Lamb. Is that the best 1-2 punch at wide receiver in the entire NFL?
They're the best duo in the NFL, and somebody close to me said it's not even close. When you think about the other duos in the league, you go Devontae and Puka, who play the position really well, seasoned wide receivers. The difference for CeeDee and George is they can score, take it the distance on any play from all 99 yards. That is a deep threat. That is run after catch. That is intermediate. They are young. They have juice. They are fast. They make contested catches. It makes it easy on Dak. This is what you dreamed about when you heard that the Cowboys were trading for George Pickens, and it's coming to fruition in a really, really big way for them.
Yeah, Jamar Chase and T. Higgins is another pair, another duo that would be considered.
Yeah, they're
Why
great.
are you
Listen,
laughing?
This isn't close right now.
He was the person I was close to.
This is by far the best duo.
Dan.
It's the best three-headed monster in the NFL if you put Ferguson in there.
You're saying it's not even close.
Not even close right now. Dude, when was the last time you watched George Pickens get covered one-on-one on the outside?
No, I feel
It's
you,
a joke
but the
right
fact
now.
that you're like, this is not even close. It's like you got Stafford, Devontae Adams, and Puka Nacua out there in L.A. Like, they're not even close.
Not right now. And I love what the Rams are doing. One, Devontae and Matthew just got on the same page last week. They had been missing consistently, and a lot of it was just red zone stuff last week, like goal line, okay? What's happening in Cincinnati, the context of the quarterback has to be a part of this conversation. It can't just be one-on-one. They're historical right now. There's no three-headed monster right now, like what Dallas has right now. And the receivers, I'll go back to this. When was the last time George got covered one-on-one on the outside? And then CeeDee does whatever he wants at times. Right now, this is by far the best duo.
How about A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, who won a Super Bowl last year? Our friend A.J. Brown again. I know that they're not putting up the numbers, but that's a pretty good duo there in Philadelphia as well. I don't know you could say that these guys are head and shoulders better than anybody.
So let's circle it back.
I agree that they're the best. All I'm saying is you're like, it's not.
Let's circle it back. It doesn't matter.
I think they're the best.
Whether they're the best or not, notwithstanding. The offense is obviously ridiculously dynamic. Dak Prescott is having an MVP caliber. He's having the best season of his outstanding career. And so as they get set to go to Denver, I had a split over here on who they think is going to win. And Schefty, speaking of splits, you've got numbers.
Here's the one thing to keep in mind about the Dallas Cowboys, who have been dominant at home. And when you play them at Jerry's World, you are in for it all day. But when they go on the road, they're just not the same team as they're at home. Look at some of the numbers and the difference when they play at home compared to when they play on the road. At home, they're averaging over 41 points per game this season. Away, over 24. You see the total yards. There's almost a 100-yard difference per game. So you're talking about 16 points, 100 yards per game, and now you're going into Denver to play a tough defense. Again, Dallas is a great watch. They might have the best wide receiver tandem in the league, and that's not close.
Not close.
Yeah.
But on the road, they're not the same team.
The comparison's been made here. We can put the picks up on the screen this early if you want to. I think it's worth having as part of the context of the conversation. And Dan, I see you like the Broncos. The comparison I'm making is to what Joe Burrow and the Bengals had last year. The offense was so good.
Yeah.
The defense was so bad that even he couldn't drag them into the playoffs. If the Eagles start to show some signs of vulnerability, and I think Sunday will be a big step towards that, if they take care of business against the Giants, I'll feel better about them. Is the offense in Dallas good enough to get this team into contention in the division? They can't do it.
No, this offense.
The defense is that bad?
Well, yes, but the defense was different this past week as well. Like, the Cowboys are kind of like the Eagles in that regard. The defense did things differently this past week than they did this for the most of this season. Like, way more aggressive, way more man coverage, way more blitzing, and that was without Trayvon. Yeah, so like if that defense plays a little bit stylistically or schematically different, we have to see what that looks like over the course of the season. Overshown coming back, Trayvon's going to come back. So if they do things differently, then I'm a little bit more inclined to say that the defense isn't as bad as it was to start the year.
This week is going to be the test that really tells us, Greeny, because those wide receivers that people aren't even close to, they're going against Riley Moss and Patrick Surtain. So if they have those kind of weeks against them, then it's solidified. And then also when you have the context of where the Commanders are, their defense, run defense, pass defense
is just as bad as the Cowboys.
They're bad. And then on the offensive side, they were out of all their weapons. So yes, it's a good week for the Cowboys to look great on both sides of the ball. The Broncos will be the real test.
So that feels to me like really the question. We watched what the Giants just did in Denver this week. I mean, the Giants dominated that game for 48 minutes or whatever it was, and then it turned into one of the most, the craziest games that you've seen in the NFL in a very long time. It's sort of an interesting litmus test for the Broncos as well. If they're going to be legit, if they're going to make a run at a Kansas City team that suddenly looks like they may be the best in the entire NFL, then you win this game, right? Carolina beat the Cowboys at home. The Broncos, if they're going to be legit, as you say, Will, they win this game.
Absolutely, and I think this is a get-back spot for that defense because the New York Giants had a lot of success. I love watching this defense on film. The way they take away your best players, the way they pass things off in zone, the way they communicate. You mentioned Moss and Surtain. Like, this defense is for real, like what, most pressures, most sacks in the league. This is a get-back spot for the Broncos, and I love that they are playing against the Cowboys offense because they are good.
And we have this Baker Mayfield yesterday on why he dislikes division rival New Orleans. Take a listen.
It hasn't exactly been clean play from their part when we play them. It's a physical game. It is what it is. You expect it, division rival. Not much else to say besides the fact that I don't like them.
How about that? I mean, do we like that? I am personally one who likes a little bit of good old-fashioned, healthy dislike when it comes to division games.
Yeah. Baker Mayfield saw what Sean Payton was doing this past week, and he wants to get in the mix a little bit. Nothing does better. Nothing is better than a good storyline. It's why kids at the lunch table are yelling about the WWE and why it's real and the storylines there. Like, this is the kind of stuff that makes sport take it to a whole new level.
us
I personally love
Character development.
Yeah, this is
This is why
character
we love
development.
Baker, though. This is why Baker
Exactly.
who he is. Like, he's unashamed about it. He talks trash. He lets everybody know it.
All right, speaking of his team, and that would be the Tampa Bay Bucks, they're a team that's been injured and riddled with injury at wide receiver. So let's do a wide receiver watch with our wideout, Andrew Hawkins. And
Let's do it.
Let's start there in Tampa. Can the rookie, Emeka Egbuka, fill the void left behind by Mike Evans as that team's #1 wide receiver? They're trying to make a Super Bowl run.
Absolutely. Check him out against college competition. This is against the New York Jets. Right? This is look at one-handed catch. This is a rookie. So you think, okay, does he have the talent to make these kind of plays? Absolutely. Look at that catch. Here we go. You'll see the IQ that he has for a rookie. That's rare. Man-to-man route. He fills zone. He settles into a zone, throttles, gives the quarterback a throw and an outlet. This is why Baker Mayfield loves having Egbuka in the lineup. He's a rookie still. It'll be a work in progress, but he's showing signs. Last, fourth quarter, 1:31 left to make this catch in that situation against these Jets DBs. Now, it was ruled incomplete, but it should have been a completion and should have been still the game for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Those are all rare things for rookies and an ability. Brian Hartline at Ohio State has these receivers ready to play professional level ball from day one.
Yeah, I mean, they're a wide receiver. Now, with all due respect to the LSU guys, it's ridiculous what's coming out of Ohio State. A quick question on that team right now, and we'll get back to more receivers in a second. But now they lose Mike Evans. I mean, the injuries start to mount. They'll get Bucky Irving back. Do the Buccaneers remain, in your mind, a legitimate Super Bowl contender in the NFC?
There's no doubt. Quarterback's still very near the top of the MVP list. Don't look at what happened on Monday night against Detroit and think it's about Tampa. That was about Detroit. The coverages that Detroit threw at Tampa were like, I have no idea what they were. They were so creative and kind of disguise-ridden. So that was so much more about Detroit. Tampa's going to be absolutely fine. They just got to get healthy.
Let's go to another wide receiver. The return of Rashee Rice last week. What did that mean in Kansas City?
I tried to call this when I saw Thornton coming on the way that we did. When Rashee Rice comes back, he is a do-everything wide receiver. He makes it easy on the offense. He makes it easier on Patrick Mahomes. Only 42 yards, but 7 catches, 2 touchdowns, and on every pass Mahomes threw to him, he was no more than 6 yards up the field. 80% of his yards came on yak. That allows for Mahomes to get the ball out of his hands and put the defensive line on their heels.
Guys, watching what that team looked like on this past weekend, we know the Raiders are really struggling, but watching what that team looked like last weekend, is Kansas City now once again the clear-cut team to beat in the AFC?
Well, part of me says yes, part of me says no, because I called the Colts overrated last week. And they're taking care of business, and they look really good at playing football right now.
Contenders.
So I'm going to say the Colts are the team to beat in the
There you
AFC.
go.
Really?
Way to
Yeah.
flop.
As an apology.
Christmas, dude.
Hey, that's Will on the highway. He catches a little skin. He's overcorrecting
Look, rarely,
big time.
rarely am I going to say anything out of pocket on
Yeah.
this show. That was one where I got to go back. I got to watch the tape and be hard on myself. I have to be better.
I appreciate
Gotta be
that.
better.
We had this conversation the other day. Look, the Daniel Jones story is one of my favorite stories in the entire NFL. But if those two teams meet up in a playoff situation, you get a playoff scenario, and you got Kansas City coming into Indianapolis, Patrick Mahomes against Daniel Jones, I think the world is going to expect Kansas City to win that game.
Yeah,
Would you?
I think the world and myself would expect at this time in October, I would sit there and say the Kansas City Chiefs would beat the Indianapolis Colts. Now, I can change that opinion at any time. You can look at a lot of stats by the Colts.
You do have free
will. A lot
will.
of stats. I have a lot of free will going on here.
Yeah.
But when you see the Chiefs at full capacity on the opposite side of the ball, as much criticism we gave them early in the year, they deserve just as much praise right now. They look unbelievable.
All right, let's go to one more wide receiver watch, and we're going back to the Ohio State guys, Jackson Smith and Jigba.
I mean, he's a professional in his process. Everything he does is with a purpose. You could say, oh, he doesn't seem as talented as other guys, but when you watch him, he is a consummate professional. Now, what does that mean? There's an old Tennessee saying that says, a man who knows what to do can be played like a Compton. The man who knows why will live lavish like a Lewan, right? And this is what you get with JSN. Everything he does has a purpose. He knows the why, and he is being rewarded handsomely. He's on pace to break Calvin Johnson's single-season receiving record, which is ridiculous for what you thought coming into the season about the Seattle Seahawks.
And that's the number right there. If he plays the entire 17 games, and of course, don't yell at me. We all know Calvin Johnson only played 16, but it is what it is. The league changes, and he could break the all-time record. I was asking you this question. Can you put it in English for us?
Yeah.
Because, I love
Okay,
I love watching JSN play, and the numbers are ridiculous. But Calvin Johnson was, what are they? Megatron, right?
Yeah.
And you watch some of these other guys, they're so big, they're so fast. He doesn't seem to have any of those things. So why is he so good?
because there's two sides of the equation as a player. There's your talent and there's how good you are. How good you are, again, is how you make everything you do matter, from every step to your depth to where your eyes go. As a professional, you know all these things and you can do it in real time. Typically, rookies don't reach that peak until year 3 or 4, hence the second big contract when you're at your peak in talent and how good you are. JSN is coming to the league, and a lot of these Ohio State receivers do, with the good side being already sky high because Brian Hartline has a standard at Ohio State where he teaches you as if you're already an NFL wide receiver.
Danny, you did their games Monday night. It was very late for a lot of people on the East Coast, didn't get to see it. What is your number one takeaway about Seattle?
If you're in Detroit, if you're in Tampa, if you're in Philly, if you're in Green Bay, this team could beat you, and this team could win the Super Bowl. That's how good they are. They matter in the NFC playoffs. Their defense has got the Defensive Player of the Year right now in Leonard Williams. They got the deepest front seven in football. Their coverage unit is big and physical. You just talked about JSN, the 2 tight ends on their offense. It's a very complete football team. I think their head coach is an absolute star in the making. This team's as good as any team in football.
Are we worried about Darnold every now and again still making the critical mistake? Because, I mean, taking the play that he takes in the end zone is not a safety. It's a touchdown that he turns into there. A couple of picks again. I mean, Darnold has been prone every now and again to being a little risky and taking some chances with the ball, and sometimes it bites.
Jalen Hurts and Matthew Stafford. Everybody else has a little bit of that in their game. And the only quarterback in the AFC that you would say right now that's like going to matter into the playoffs that you would say you don't feel that way is about Patrick. So there's 3 guys in the league. Sam Darnold is playing absolutely fantastic football. The connection that he has with JSN is just like he had with JJ. This team is, I'm telling everyone, this team is as well coached and as talented, specifically on the defensive side, as anybody in the playoffs.
I want to spotlight one other moment from that game. Again, it's the 4th quarter of a Monday night game. It's like 1 in the morning Eastern time. So I'm not sure everybody necessarily saw this, but there's a scrum in this game here. We got a change of possession here. And on the run back, you're going to see JSN is going to get involved. He's going to get stiff-armed. His helmet comes off.
He's a dog.
Now, look at this. We got everybody over there in the corner. He's got no helmet on.
Teach tape right there.
Shout out to the ref, Nate Jones, who watch him jump in there. I don't want to overstate just the degree to which he is saving Jackson Smith and Jigba. But I just wanted to ask all of you guys who played in the NFL a moment like that where he doesn't have a helmet on. Taylor, for some reason, I want to start with you. What do you see when you see this moment?
I think JSN handled this as well as he possibly could. His helmet comes off. He knows he's vulnerable. There's a lot of areas people can take advantage of him in there, and there's not a lot of refs around, at least that you think at that time. Put your hands up, wait for the cavalry to arrive. That's everything. That's on every single offensive lineman in there to get their ass in there and get going and get their boy safe. If I'm the coach, I'm putting that up on film, and I'm asking the offensive line, hey, boys, why is the ref coming to save our boy, or why are we not coming to save our boy?
If you're an offensive lineman on the Texans, what are you trying to do? You trying to dive in there on JSN?
On the Texans?
Yeah. If you're on the Texans.
Well,
I'm on the sidelines watching this.
You're on the team trying to attack.
I mean,
JSN.
look how many white jerseys.
That's why it was why it was special all ball knowing from that ref. You could tell he played because he no helmet and you're on the opposite sideline.
The box out.
It doesn't matter who this is. I gotta save your life because I'm a referee jersey and it just automatically makes everyone stop. Because they're about to stomp you out over here.
And JSN, just his awareness knowing the helmet is gone and I can't even get to it.
No one's coming to save you.
But he was still tough because
he stood there.
He could have ran. He could have just took off. And you don't want that on film either.
Yeah, you don't want it.
We talked about it on the broadcast. I'd never seen anything like that before in my life. I've never seen an official kind of do that in that situation before in my life. So it was big time. I wanted to hit on JSN real quickly if we could at the end. I think the reason why he is so good is at every level he has the ability to win. He wins at the line of scrimmage, he wins at the top of his routes, and then he wins with the ball in his hands. That's special.